Hello everyone. This is a mobility routine which I designed myself. I put inside all my favorite movements that I learned throughout the years through different coaches. It will be focused around cars, so circular articular rotations. But there will also be some movements for spine mobilization and general postural thoracic fix. So without further ado, let's start, and I hope you enjoy. The first exercise or movement will be neck semicircles. What we want to do is draw some semicircles with our chin, trying to be as close as possible to the chest. I learned this from my calisthenics exercise coach in London. It's like the best way to start, I think. And we can do 4 side by side. Really trying to press the chin towards the chest. Great. Then we'll focus on the chest, and what we want to do is release the thoracic spine. Let's start by pushing the sternum forwards and backwards, as if there was a button on the sternum, trying to keep the rest of the body and the shoulders fixed. And then we'll do some lateral glides, again, trying to move the rib cage, but keeping the hips and the shoulders quite fixed, really. By the way, I'm not like the best at this. It's a continuous improvement. And ultimately, let's try to join them. So, side, backwards, side, front. And we want to draw a circle with our sternum, basically. You can do 2 circles per side. Great. Next, let's go on the shoulders, and let's do some scapular rotations. Again, let's divide the movement into sections and then combine them. So let's do some scapular elevations, so bring your shoulders up. Scapular protraction, bring the shoulders forward. Scapular depression, so bring the shoulders down. And scapular retraction, bring the shoulders backwards. Let's do this once more. Try to push as far as you can in each direction. This I learned from Tom Merrick, who is like my favorite movement, stretching, mobility teacher online. I also met him in London at one of his coaching seminars. And I think now let's join everything. So let's draw some circles with our shoulders and trying to make them as big as possible. Again, 2 per side. This is, moving the scapula is really important for like many compound movements like pull-ups and a lot of exercises in the gym as well. So learning how to really maximize the movement is important. Okay, next I want to do some shoulder rotations or shoulder dislocates. You can use a band if you have it, or even a stick. And if you don't have it, you can just skip this exercise. What we want to do is rotate our shoulders. You can start from quite a far away grip. And another strength coach in London taught me to be quite gentle when you're bringing your shoulders backwards and trying to floss the band in the areas that are quite tight. Don't immediately go for shoulder rotations, complete rotations. So let's warm up a bit and floss. Maybe start gripping the band a bit closer this way. Okay. Obviously, all these exercises, you can do them standing. Now that you're quite warm, you can try and retract your scapulas and bring your shoulders backwards and try to dislocate them or rotate them as much as you can. Also, this exercise is really important to open up our chest. It's good for the posture. Great. Obviously with a stick it's a bit harder, so I really suggest using a band if you have one. Awesome. Next, we're going to do a drill for the posture. This is called Butcher's Block. You can do it on top of foam roller. I have a yoga block here, or you can even just do it on the floor. What we want to do is place our elbows on the floor, on the elevated surface, and then do some pulses, trying to bring your chest to the ground. Let's do 10 pulses in a kneeling position. And what this does is extend the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine is one of the most rigid areas of the spine, because unlike the cervical spine and the lumbar spine, which allow for more degrees of freedom, the thoracic spine is really rigid, and evolutionarily it makes sense. It wants to protect the heart and the lungs, right? But it can become stiff. And now let's just rest a bit in this position, trying to press the chest to the ground and the elbows towards our head. You can even use like a tennis ball or something between your hands if you prefer. This will force a bit of external rotation in your shoulders. Yeah, and as I was saying, this position is helpful to, say, compensate for the kyphotic posture that we have when we study or when we're working. Great. Now that we're in this kneeling position, we can put the block on the side and go backwards into a kind of physiological squat position. Again, kneeling, and then put one hand behind your neck and do some thoracic rotations, trying to point the elbow to the sky. Again, in this case, we should try not to move our hips, but only rotate our thorax. And it doesn't matter if we can't point the elbow directly to the sky, we are limited. The important thing is that we work towards it. Again, 4 per side. Let's do another one. Okay, perfect. Now that we're in this position, let's exploit it again and let's do some cat-cow, but segmented cat-cow. What I mean is flexion extension of the spine, starting from the butt and then moving, flexing the spine gently and slowly towards the cervical spine. So I will try to be conscious about what part of the spine I'm flexing, starting from the butt, moving up towards the thoracic spine and then the cervical spine. Ultimately, I contract all my glutes. And then I reverse the motion, start to extend the lumbar spine, slowly the thoracic spine, and ultimately the cervical spine. And then reverse. Flex the lumbar spine, thoracic, cervical. It's actually really hard, and again, like the other exercises, it's aimed at developing more awareness of how we move our spine, which is getting lost nowadays. We move a lot, all the distal articulations, but the more proximal and central articulations of our body are becoming ever more fixed. Another one. In the final part of the flexion, really contract your glutes and your core. Okay, great. From here, let's do another type of articular rotation, which is the hip car. So let's try to draw the biggest semicircle you can with your patella. And let's do 3 rotations per side. Great, now the other side. Great. Now we can turn around, and something that I like from yoga practice is just like the happy baby. Just like roll backwards and forward a bit. Release some tension from the night and stuff. Okay, and now that we're lying in a supine position, let's do some flossing of the sciatic nerve. So one foot stays on the ground, and then the other one we extend. So we extend the leg, holding our hands behind the knee. When we extend the leg, we try to have the foot in a hammer position, and when we flex the leg, we point it like a ballerina. To make it harder, we bring the knee a bit more towards ourselves. Again, this I learned from Tom Merrick, and I think it's really good to get a small pump in the leg while also flossing the sciatic nerve. You might feel some tingling here and there, but I think I've done enough. Other side. Okay, great. Now from this position, I want to bring one knee to the chest and fully extend the other leg. Switch sides, trying to focus on bringing the knee as close as possible to the chest center line. This dynamic movement should help to mobilize the glutes and also the TFL, which is the Tensor fascia lata, this band that covers the muscles of the thighs on the lateral side and gets easily inflamed in like runners and cyclists. Nice. Now that we're on the ground, we can do another great exercise, which is the hip swivel. So focusing one leg at a time, let's do some hip internal rotations. Trying to keep our chest straight. And after a few rounds, you can try and join the movement of the 2 legs together. And lastly, we can try to bring our chest towards our knees, or perhaps our heart towards our knees. More romantic. This will further stretch our glutes. Okay. Now that we mobilize our hips, I like to do a frog pose. I roll the mat slightly on the side because it can get a bit tough on the knees. Then I open up in a straddle position, put my elbows on the ground, and I glide gently forwards and backwards. This helps to warm up the hip adductors, so the muscles of the groin and the internal side, internal aspect of our legs. And as you move backwards and forwards, you can also try and slowly shift your knees a bit more externally, laterally, and make movements a bit longer. Awesome. Now that our legs are quite warmed up, I like to stand up into a straddle position. Choose a distance that's comfortable for you. And let's do some Cossack squats, starting without going too deep actually. So let's do 3 Cossack squats that are, let's say, halfway down. Then you can slowly get deeper and even think about pointing your foot upwards. This will enable you to go a bit deeper, and focusing also on keeping your chest straight, really. And then ultimately, with time, you can even think about just shifting side to side this way without fully extending the hips. With time, you should see that your foot can stay more grounded. If your heel detaches from the ground, it's normal. And you can help yourself by holding onto something actually. And lastly, again in straddle position, why not? Let's do a Pancake Good-morning. So go backwards with your hips, keeping your chest straight. This will stretch a bit your posterior chain and your hamstring. So at least 4. Focus on bringing your hips as back as you can, and then contracting your glutes at the end. And slowly shift your foot outwards if you want. Awesome. This is it. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me some feedback. It's actually the first one I record. So yeah, hope you have a great day and catch you on the next wave.